Hello guys. Today I'm going to be reacting to this video about the origin of consciousness. I just want to preface this by saying that I believe that there's two separate types of consciousness. You've got the first, which is like the difference between being conscious and unconscious, as in like being awake or being knocked out. And then you've got like the other type of consciousness, which is it's more about your self-awareness. It's more about understanding that you're a being on this world. Another way that I like to put it is that you can think about thinking. Whereas humans, we can think about our own thoughts, think about how we think. Animals and other less developed creatures, they kind of just think and do. We can think forwards, but we can think about thinking forwards, and that's kind of the higher level of consciousness. But yeah, let's just kind of see how it goes.
Consciousness is perhaps the biggest riddle in nature. Stripped to its core meaning, consciousness is what allows us to be aware both of our surroundings and of our own inner state. But thinking about consciousness has this habit of taking us round in circles. We all intuitively know what consciousness is. It's this. It's what you're experiencing here, right now. But once we try to pinpoint just what exactly it is, it leaves us grasping at thin air. And not just us. Philosophers and scientists struggle to define consciousness. Different schools and ideas compete with one another, but no one has come close to figuring it out.
It's probably quite hard to define consciousness because there's no like physical thing there. It's a very like neurological thing. Consciousness is like that self-awareness. It's just kind of there, but there's no there to pinpoint it to. So it's going to be quite hard for like anyone to really put a strong definition on consciousness. Yeah.
It's unsettling to realize that we don't understand what makes us aware of ourselves and the world. In this fuzzy area, consciousness and intelligence are also related, although they are not the same. We'll talk in greater depth about theories of consciousness and intelligence in other videos. Like much of what makes us human, our consciousness is likely to have evolved from less complex forms as a product of evolution by natural selection. It has probably emerged from an immense several hundred million year sequence of countless microsteps that together make up a sort of gradient of consciousness. What was the first step on this path from the non-conscious to the basic consciousness that ultimately led to the convoluted consciousness we humans enjoy today?
Yeah, I think that the first step that we had in our consciousness, it's just purely down to our curiosity. I think it's like when we started questioning stuff, because we would question animals, we would question what plants are, what other people are, and then we'd start to question ourselves, and then our sense of self, and then our being. And it's like mirrors, like when you could look in a mirror, and like, you know how dogs, they don't really recognize each other, but we look in a mirror and we're like, yeah, that's me. Like that self-recognition had to have been like a massive, like fundamental step of like recognizing that that is you. And it's like, I don't know if you guys have seen that dog on TikTok. I can't remember its name, but it was the one with like all the buttons. Oh, Bunny. And it was like, it would start just like going from bunny, want, walk on like these three different buttons to then like why, bunny, dog. And it's like, it started learning that self-recognition. It started picking up on stuff. Like, I don't know how real it was or how fake it was, but it's crazy that dog kind of had like a bit of the consciousness that we feel today. And it's like, maybe it can like, maybe consciousness can actually be taught. Who knows?
Take a stone. The consensus is that a stone is not conscious, though not everyone agrees even on this. Some panpsychists claim that a lump of rock may have an inner life. However, there are no real grounds for any such assumption, since stones never show behavior. Their inner life can neither be proven nor disproven. A more common starting point is with living things. A living thing, or a self, is a part of the universe that sustains itself and makes more of its kind. To do so, it needs energy. And this is where an awareness of the world comes in handy. The original function of consciousness was probably to direct a mobile self that was short of energy to a fresh supply of food. On the smaller scales of life, you don't need to be aware to find food. Trichoplax adherens, one of the simplest of all animals, moves around haphazardly. It slows down in the presence of food and speeds up in its absence. This is highly effective and makes the tiny creature spend more time where there is food than where there is not. But it never moves in a particular direction towards a particular target, and there's no need for it to be conscious of its environment. The first major step towards consciousness was probably taken when mobile selves started to move themselves directionally, moving towards what was good for them, say food, and away from what was less good, say someone else who thought that they were food. Take Dugisia to...
Yeah, I think like most animals have like the instinctual, like the natural instinct to survive. Like that's quite a conscious effort, because even though you're not thinking about like thinking itself, you're not thinking about what you're thinking, you just kind of do it, but you're thinking it in like a self-preservation kind of way. Like you're doing everything that you can to make sure that you live longer and that you can like reproduce and stuff like that. And it's just kind of like it's not conscious in the way that they know that they're thinking about it, but it's a step in the right direction. You know, it's like it's thinking for its longer term kind of objectives. You know, it's short term actions that can achieve a longer term thing. And by having that longer term plan, that in itself is quite a, like, they're putting in a conscious effort to achieve it. You know, they're doing things that they just do, but it's like in their mind, like they're not thinking about reproducing, but they're thinking about surviving, and that in itself allows them to reproduce. And that's kind of like, I can't get the words for it, but I hope you can tell what I mean.
Greener, a tiny worm known for its funny face. Sometimes the worm is hungry and sometimes not. This means that when it moves, the worm self is not simply producing an automatic response to an external stimulus, but that its actions depend upon its inner physiological state, whether it's hungry or sated. When it's just eaten, the worm is less energetic, but when starved for a while, it will move itself in the direction of tasty things.
Imagine being able to build an app with your name on it, just by thinking about it. Meet Base 4.
It uses chemoreceptors on its head to smell its environment and guide it in the direction where the scent of food is strongest. After finding and eating a meal, our worm buddy heads back to a dark, sheltered spot to digest it in safety, until it's hungry again. But animals...
Yeah, I think with animals, how they like... Sorry, this is just like a little quick point. Like, when they go and hide after eating, it's because they don't feel hungry, so they don't think about finding food. You know, there's no need for it. They don't think that since they've just eaten, they've got more energy now than like because they'll probably you think of like crocodiles, they have like one meal a year sometimes, and they don't really go out of their way to find more food than they need for like the next year. They just like, they don't eat something and then like wait a week and then they try and eat something else, and then so they can like save food. They don't do that. They just think hungry, eat. They don't think not hungry. I've got the energy, so let's get some food so when I am hungry. You know, these animals, like, they don't have that forward thought, where us as humans, I'm not hungry, but I can go to the shop and buy food because I know that I will think about food at a later time because I'm going to be hungry. Like, I can think about my future thoughts. Like, I can, that's what consciousness is.
That blindly follow their sense of smell don't have a concrete objective in view. They still lack any sense of where they are heading. So the next step on the ladder of consciousness is to add some perception at a distance, like vision. Vision adds context and depth to our world. With vision comes a sense of the space we and our food exist in. It adds a whole new dimension to awareness and is a huge step towards more familiar consciousness. An optical apparatus like an eye enables us to visualize our goal and lock onto it. But even at this stage, a self is only able to pursue its food as long as it sees it. So the next logical step needs to happen on the inside. To visualize food in its absence, for example, a self needs to create some sort of inner representation of the world. Now an animal can continue looking for food even when it escapes its sensory range. Because of this inner representation of what is relevant in the world, it can remain focused on its food and its desire to get it. Our self now exists in a world it can get familiar with.
Yeah, being able to remember stuff is so strong. Even just like quite a short-term memory. Like, instead of it just, you see it, you think about it, and then it's gone, and you can't keep thinking about it. If you can think about something when it's like out of your line of sight, that's quite a powerful thing for a species to be able to do. And like, even as humans, like, I'm pretty sure when we're like babies, we don't have that. It's something that we learn over time. Like you know, like peekaboo. I think that works on babies because when they can't see you, they don't know that you're there because they can't see you. They might still think about you, but they don't know that you're there. Like that weird little spider thing. It couldn't see those flies, but it knew that they were there because they were just there. Babies, they don't know shit. Nah, you disappear in front of them. You pull a Houdini.
Ability to remember things has emerged. Thanks to memory, animals can be distracted from a pursuit for a few seconds, but quickly continue their path afterwards. A related phenomenon is called object permanence. This describes our awareness that things continue to exist even when we can't see them. This cognitive skill is enjoyed by some mammals and birds, and perhaps other animals too. Human babies tend to develop this ability around the time they turn 8 months, while baby chickens show this ability within a day or
so
two
like
of
before
being born.
those 8 months.
The capacity to remember a thing in its absence suggests at least a basic sense of time. A sense of time is a big step on the ladder of consciousness.
This game, you're not ready.
It may also enable a self to look forward from the present moment and anticipate the future. Adult chickens, for example, are able to resist a meal put in front of them if they expect to receive a bigger meal as a prize for holding back for a while. This sort of delayed gratification means there is an ability to visualize a reward that only exists in the future, which can be quite a challenge even for adult humans. Western scrub jays are experts in delayed gratification. They show an even more elaborate sense of the future when they hide food in a cache to retrieve it at a later date. The scrub jays will even re-hide their food if they become aware that a potential thief has been watching them. This means that they know that there are other hungry selves out there who are aware and see the world from their own different perspective. Crafty scrub jays can sort of read the mind of their fellow birds. This ability
Yeah, so those scrub jays, they get to... They're not thinking about their own thoughts, but they're thinking about the other thoughts of the same species, because they know how they think. They know that if they saw a bird that was hiding its food and they knew where that food was hidden, that they would steal it, because that's just the natural instinct, that that's food, it's valuable, and you're going to want it. And so since they can think that that's what they want, then they can understand when other animals see where their food is, that the other animals are also going to want it. So they have that level to think about other animals thinking, which that's crazy. That is crazy.
to mind read is crucial for complex levels of consciousness. By putting yourself in the position of others, you can outsmart a rich competitor or empathize with a hungry friend. Language takes the ability to read minds and represent what is absent to a whole new level. Words enable us to construct hypotheses about the world, make detailed plans, and to communicate them with others. Words enable us to think about ourselves and our place in the universe, and even about our own consciousness, which is something we'll be doing more in future videos. So what is the origin of our consciousness? It probably began as the directed motion of a hungry self towards a source of food, with the survival benefits this gave it over competitors that moved at random or not at all. It probably all started with the urge for more food. So even with the sophisticated consciousness that allows us to dream about space, build skyscrapers, or obsess about novels, it's not surprising that we can't stop thinking about where we'll get our next meal. Collectively, we've put so much thought and ingenuity into getting food that we can now just get our food to come to us with little conscious effort. This video is part one of a three-part video series relating to big questions of life and the universe.
So yeah, that's the origin of consciousness. You know, it just came from us being greedy fucks. You know, us just wanting more and more scran until we're satiated. That is, I mean, I'm not too surprised, because it's a very instinctual thing. Like, one of the first instincts we would have ever learned as a species, like millions and millions of years ago, would have been that we need food. You know, we would have learned to get food somehow, and that's going to have stuck with us, because even now we need food. You know, I'm getting hungry after watching this video, so I'm going to need to go and make some for myself. But, you know, it's like, since we had the instincts to get food, we've learned to optimize the ways that we get food, so it doesn't escape us, it doesn't evade us. You know, because if you can think of what your prey is gonna do, well, then you can kind of catch it out, you can stop it in its tracks. And so we've learned to, like, mind read. So we've learned to, so I take it that we would have learned to read the minds of other creatures, usually our prey, and then we've flipped that into thinking about ourselves. We've learned from thinking about what our prey does, and then we've become like the bird of thinking about other people of the same species. But then we've gone on to thinking about ourselves and that self-recognition, and then you can put the thoughts of thinking of like what other people in your species do to thinking about what you do, because you're part of your species, and if you know what your species does, you can know what you do, and that's how you can identify the traits that you personally have, and you can try and work on stuff you want to work on, or be proud of stuff, because you can understand that it's you doing it, and you can understand that you're there. You know, it's you, bro. But yeah, that's kind of the video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and if you want to leave a comment about anything, I'd love to know what you think of it. Yeah, all right, see ya.